I'd like to invite Preetivardhan Moshai, Pranath Prabhu, Achinta Swarup Prabhu, and Balram Prabhu on the stage to please come and share your perspectives and experiences from the Bhaktivedanta Academy at Sridham Mayapur. Shall I arrange more mics? One more.
Hare Krishna. So first, in the name of His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, he was not able to come, so he asked us to come and represent him, and also Preetivardhan Prabhu is really tired. He was yesterday in Delhi receiving the Prime Minister. He did this swastivachana for receiving the Prime Minister in Delhi yesterday, and he didn't sleep the whole night. So he's feeling a little indisposed, so we're also eager to hear from him. And basically, the topic, as Prabhu mentioned, Vedic education. We didn't prepare for that, all of us, but we want to at least transmit some values or some realizations we had trying to reestablish or revive this system of education that was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Usually when people ask me, why did you choose to be a teacher? And I answer, well, there are usually three reasons that people, they decide to be a teacher. One is that they love education. The second one is that they need money. And the third one is for revenge. And that's my case. And revenge for everything that we pressed through our educational life that was against the natural way that we should be educated. Revenge against the 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours we have to be sitting down, just hearing, trying to memorize all the conflicts that we pass through our educational system, the modern educational system. So, in this regard, I want to make 3 points in connection to, because actually also, as Prabhu mentioned, provocative. Why? Because even nowadays in ISKCON, the word Gurukul is kind of a taboo. Many times when devotees ask, what do you do? Oh, I teach in Gurukul. Sometimes they are, okay. So there's just one short story I want to tell you, that there was in a village that came one guy with a donkey. And the donkey, and the owner of the donkey said, I'll pay $1,000 for the person who can make my donkey say no. Whatever you ask him, he say like this, yes. So there was this huge line. The whole village came. And there was one devotee there in the line. So they were there and they were going to the donkey and saying, asking this and that, and the donkey would go, yes, yes. And then came the time for the devotee, and the devotee went to the donkey and said something, and the donkey said no, and he ran away. So the owner, he was surprised. He never say no, but now he's saying no. And then he asked the devotee, what did you ask him? And he said, I asked him if you want to run a Gurukul. In ISKCON. Sorry, I didn't complete the phrase. In ISKCON. Anyway, it was just to break the ice. So then, the 3 principles that we stand for, and this is not coming only from us, this is a historical and philosophical perspective within education. One is that Gurukul education is based in values. Usually in education, when you study curriculum, the ABC of curriculum is that you have to learn how to compile objectives according to knowledge, skills, and values. Just a side point that yesterday, when Prabhu was showing the purposes of ISKCON, in the first one, Prabhupada is exactly mentioning knowledge, techniques, and values. Much before any educator start to bring these points in the field of education. So that's Srila Prabhupada. So we learn about these knowledge, skills, and values. But the Gurukul system of education is based in values. In the modern education system, it's all based in knowledge. You get knowledge, even if you're a rascal, you pass to the next grade. Yeah, and nowadays it's even worse because it's not knowledge, just skills. If you know how to Google it, if you know how to find some kind of systematic way to solve the problem, even if you don't have values, you are considered a good person. But Gurukul education is about values. That's the first point. Second point is that Gurukul has a personalized curriculum. It's not a massive industrial way of education. Every student should have his own path in terms of his school life, his educational life. And the last one, and most important, is that the knowledge, it's in a descending process, not ascending process. So I will share just two more things and I'll pass to the boys to speak. Just the experience and why I got attracted to this kind of education. Of course, because of the order of our Acharya, but I finished my studies in education, then I came to Mayapur. I taught before. I was in Waldorf, involved with Waldorf education. I was teaching Waldorf schools before. And when I came to Mayapur, then I knew, okay, Gurukul is there. Let me see what's going on. And then I saw these boys there. He was very young that time. And I saw how sharp, how intelligent, and how well behaved these boys were. And I was impressed. I came from Gangasagar one time with them in a bus for, I don't know, 9 or 12 hours. And it was a very stressful trip, that specific trip. And the boys, they were quietly talking inside the bus. No havoc, no fights, no screaming. And I was impressed how they achieved this. Because if you had the experience of traveling with kids in school, especially school trips, then you know. And then I thought, I have to do something connected to this. So I got all these principles with His Grace Prithivardhan Prabhu, with His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Purna Maharaj. And I thought this can be applied in the Western society. And I was invited by one temple president of the most violent city of Brazil. Exactly the previous year, it was considered the most violent city in Brazil. But this devotee, by his bhakti and his shakti, they had a very successful program for children and youth. Many nice devotees came from there. And even one devotee, for 10 years, he managed Davantari Maharaj's seminar in Brazil for hundreds and hundreds of students. Anyway, so we had this experience. We applied these principles with these children. And the results were amazing. For 7 years I was there. It was a government-recognized school. And I'll just give you a few examples so you understand what I'm talking about. We had one girl, her name was Balaram. Somehow, someone gave the girl the name Balaram. I think because she was really strong. When she was 7, her mother was to give her to another man so she can get money. That was the girl's situation. And she liked to come to the temple for prasadam, for the programs. And this girl, even at one point I had to go to the slums, to the traffic leaders of the slums to beg them, can you please return her? She was not coming to school because it's a very common thing. They use children to pass the drugs, so even if the children they are caught, they go what they will do with the children. Then I asked them, can you bring her back? So much effort. And we had a very personalized, in many ways, personalized system to deal with her studies, her relationships. The mother went to jail, of course. And nowadays, she's taking care of her 4 young brothers and sisters, just by values. She chants, she's a devotee. This is just one example. I have example of boys who broke a chair on the teacher's head in the previous school, and they were coming Sunday and Saturday to have classes. And 3 months after that, they were picking flowers for Krishna 5:30 in the morning. So this is the example of how Gurukul education can be effective even outside of this environment. Details are details, but we are speaking about principles. So anyway, I'll pass the word to these boys. Actually, they experienced much more than I experienced, and I feel you can get much more from them than from me. I'm very happy to be here, but I would say that I would prefer to be with the children there. That's my life, and that's what we like. Okay, so Hare Krishna. So I'll leave you with Achintya Prabhu and Balaram Prabhu.
The one point which I'd like to make is that Gurukul education is something which is irreplaceable in our society. We have many different types of education which are all wonderful, and we've been hearing about all of them over the course of the past 3 days, which has been very nice, especially for me because I'm here most of the time and don't get the opportunity to hear about all the different educational initiatives which are going on in our society. But out of all those different initiatives, Gurukul education has a very special place. It serves a particular function which no other kind of education serves. And so the fact that at this point in our society, Gurukul education has been very much put a little bit to the side, it's not very popular. And of course there are many historical reasons for that, which are very understandable. But at the same time, I want to present some reasons why the time has come for us to try to put Gurukul education back in the place that Srila Prabhupada put it in his teachings. Srila Prabhupada many times said that Gurukul is one of our most important projects in this movement, and it should be given all serious consideration by the members. And when Prabhupada spoke about education, generally he was speaking about Gurukul education. That was his main focus, at least in terms of educating children. That was in his letters, in his lectures, in his books. That's what he speaks about. And so there are a few things specifically which I'd like to highlight that Gurukul does which are very unique. One of the things which Gurukul does, which is very unique, is that it prepares devotees to be future leaders for our society and for the world. Gurukul education is not an industrial system of education which is training people to go to the factory or training people to work at a desk job or to work at your average, salary wage job. Gurukul is preparing people who are meant to go and become the leaders of the world. And Prabhupada says that very specifically in one quote. He says that this Gurukul is the perfect system. It should be revived to create the leaders who know what is the welfare of the citizens. And so in that way, both for our society and for the world at large, Gurukul education is needed to prepare leaders. And the way how Gurukul education does that is because basically anything which you want to learn, you learn it by practicing, and everybody knows that. If you want to learn multiplication tables, you practice your multiplication tables. There's no shortcut. When I was about 8 or 9, that was something which I didn't really want to accept, and as a consequence, it took me a long time to learn my multiplication tables because I wanted a shortcut. I didn't want to sit there practicing them all the time, but it didn't work like that. And so in the same way, when you want to develop something like leadership, there's no shortcut to doing that. There's no way that you can sit in a classroom and develop leadership skills or develop the character of a leader. The way how you do that is by actually taking responsibility for people, for services, for getting things done, and doing that work. And so the Gurukul system of education which we have is very, very unique in that it actually does that. We have a school here in Mayapur where literally the whole school is run by the students. Every day all of our meals are cooked by the boys. We have a Goshala where all the cows are taken care of by the boys. We have many, many acres of land where the agriculture, all the crops are grown by the boys. The whole management of the school, all of the 80 kids that are there in the school, what they're doing all day, all the services they're doing to take care of the school, that's all managed by the boys. The older boys take care of the younger boys. We have a hierarchy. There's a head boy who oversees everything. There's group leaders, each of whom has a group of 5 or 6 boys that they're taking care of and engaging in service. And so in that way, literally the entire school is being led and managed by the students under the supervision of the teachers. But the people who are actually doing the leadership is the students. And the reason why that's there is not because the teachers can't do it. It's because for us to be able to train leaders, we need to be engaging our youth in leadership. And that is an area where Gurukul education excels, where no other kind of education can quite catch up. Because Gurukul education is not a classroom-based environment, although of course classroom is there and classroom learning is there and all the regular academics are also there, but Gurukul is a full lifestyle. Which is why the definition of Gurukul given in Srimad Bhagavatam is Brahmachari Gurukule Vasandanta or Gurohitam Acharan Dasava Nicha Gurau Sudra Dasauhradaha. And it specifically mentions that the Brahmachari lives in the home of the Guru. And living there is important because you can't convey all those values in a 6-hour school day. Because the values that a child has are what he does when he leaves school, when he leaves the classroom and goes home. What is actually important to a person is what they do when they have free time, when they don't have to be sitting and studying in the classroom. And so if you have a values class in a classroom, but you don't look at what the person is doing when they go out of the classroom, then you can't assess whether or not values are actually being inculcated. And so Gurukul education has a very unique role to play in the future of our society. And right now we're dealing with a problem of succession. As we all know, the GBC is discussing this, everybody's worrying about this. We need a succession plan for our movement, and the succession plan for our movement is Gurukul. That's Srila Prabhupada's succession plan. That's the succession plan which he's given to us. If we train our youth to be leaders, then we will have leaders in the future. If we do not do that, then we won't have leaders for the future of our movement. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Please accept our humble obeisances. Glories to Prabhupada. So, Pranath Prabhu, my dear friend Balaram, they made some really excellent points. And there's one point that I want to draw out that I think wasn't. Pranath Prabhu was talking about how there's kind of 3 things we're looking at. It has to be descending knowledge. It has to be, what were the other 2? Values and personalized curriculum, right? Descending knowledge, values, and personalized curriculum. Now, especially personalized curriculum, that sounds pretty far-fetched, but it's still very nice. And then Balaram was talking about how this plays a unique role, this education system, this type of education, it plays a unique role in our society. And from my understanding, the functional aspect of both of these things, the way that we can understand these things and see, oh yeah, that could actually work, is if we look to no further than Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya uparekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. He says quite clearly that if you want to learn the truth, first of all, approach someone who knows the truth, right? This is where we get the descending knowledge. You approach someone who knows the truth. And then what do? You have some submission. You render service. And you ask questions, a lot of questions. Being inquisitive is extremely important in the development of our Krishna consciousness and in the development specifically of our education. Krishna Kshetra Maharaj was making some points along those lines this morning. And so this is the key. This is how a Gurukul education system works. Because otherwise it's so easy to point at it and go, yeah, you're writing us a post-dated check. Right? Because we're telling you all this stuff, and we're saying, yes, there's a personalized education system of Gurukul. This Gurukul will train the future leaders of the world, and of course, of the society. But Palena pariciyate, Prabhupada used to say. Let's judge a work by its fruit. Yeah? And obviously there are many wonderful examples of Vaishnavas who have come forth in the Gurukul, just as there are wonderful examples of Vaishnavas who have come forth in ISKCON, right? Generally, and from many walks of life. So why should we take this seriously? We should take this seriously because this isn't an idea, right? This isn't indoctrination. This is science. The science of education can be achieved in this simple way. Krishna gives it to us. We approach someone who knows the truth, right? And who is someone who knows the truth? It's someone who knows Krishna. Kiba vipra kiba nasi sudra kenanai jay Krishna tattva veta she guru hai. That person is qualified to teach us. So that person can give us knowledge. So when we approach a devotee, now it's in any walk of life, of course, we're ready to surrender from anyone, a king, Maharaj Prataparudra, right? You name it. Anyone can surrender to a Vaishnava. Anyone can make advancement in devotional service. But just because anyone can do it, doesn't mean that there's not a specific time and a specific place in which it is most profitable. And according to our acharyas, according to our scripture, and according to common sense, the best time to do that is when someone is a child. And then that's how you get your deductive knowledge, right? You get your parampara. Why? Because a child is ready. Children are really amazing. They're literally built to be educated. Some people would disagree, and for very decent reasons, but they are. And it's because they won't quit. Just 1 minute. It's because they won't quit, right? They'll keep nagging at you until they get their answer, right? They're completely impervious to like ego. That's why little kids learn how to walk and run and talk and all that stuff, because they goo goo gaga for 2 years first, right? They don't care. And they naturally emulate those who they look up to. They take after them. So if we put a boy in an environment where they have qualified teachers, where they have qualified Vaishnavas who are looking after them, right? We engage that boy in devotional service, and we encourage and facilitate his natural inquisitiveness, his natural desire to gain knowledge, his or her, his natural desire to gain knowledge, right? Then it's just, you're all very intelligent, you're all sitting here, right? It works. Anyone who's dealt with kids, they know it works. They are going to emulate the people above them, right? They are very active. So use some of the activity to engage them in service. It purifies their heart and makes them humble. It gives them all of these leadership, wonderful qualities and skills that Balaram was talking about, right? And encourage that natural proclivity to ask questions. And then that's it. There's your personalized curriculum. Because no kids ask the same questions. Some of them are the same, but many of them are different according to their interests and according to their nature. And then facilitate accordingly, right? And give the knowledge that is given by Srila Prabhupada, that is given by Parampara. So, before we, so to summarize quickly, Tadviti Pranipatena Paraprashane Sevira, right? We know that verse. And before we are too quick to throw the baby out with the bathwater, to look at something and say all of these nice things. Prabhupada gave us really, I rattled them off, post-dated check, Palena Pariciyate. Before we're too quick to throw out the Gurukul system and to say this is a pie in the sky, think. And this is the reason that Prabhupada wanted us to think, and he gave us so much knowledge so that we wouldn't have to rely on our sensory observation solely, and we wouldn't have to solely rely on our inherited prejudice and bias. We can also rely on what is science, what is Krishna consciousness, and what is the way to move our mission forward. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Achinta Swarup. Prabhu, Balram Prabhu, and Prannath Prabhu. We have some time for questions. Okay, so we'll go with Ajita Govinda Prabhu here first. Yeah, yes, Prabhu, the mic is with you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, for such words of inspiration. Gurukul is always when we visit Mayapur, we definitely go to Gurukul and hear from the boys. It's a great source of inspiration. So my question is, generally we think in terms of the productivity output, outcome. So children, they study in Gurukul for many years. Then what is like after they pass out, what is their future? What they generally do? And as we see, as in respect to, as we relatively, if we compare it with the base preaching trend in India, in base preaching, like I am also a base product. So we were never been to Gurukul, and we admit to bases while working outside, and then we dedicate our life, and we get thousands of devotees like this who have dedicated their life for Srila Prabhupada mission. So in Gurukul, children are brought up in Krishna conscious way. So what is the outcome? What is it like? What they do after they pass out? Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, it was already actually addressed. The Vedic education is based on developing the values, the character, which is the main focus to develop in the children. And if the child has a proper values, a proper character, then I'm sure there is no scarcity for him to be engaged anywhere and to be properly respected. So we see the modern education, or not specifically say in India, everything is geared for diploma. You get some diploma, you get some piece of paper, and that's what you need. For what? I remember when I was studying, no, similar thing actually happened. When I was studying on, it was a high school, or college you can say, and I would go sometimes and not see actually where I may be working after some time. And the common question and at the same time answer from the employers would be, okay, so when are you coming? Anyway, when you come, so then first of all, you forget everything what you have learned, and we will teach you what you need to know. So then I was like a little perplexed. Why am I studying so much for not learning what I need to know? So I was contemplating about what needs to be done. And then it struck me that what we learn must be applied in practice, must be practical. So the Gurukul education, it's about then how to practically teach the children what they learn, how to apply it. The purpose of the education should be always to bring the children to self-realization as close as you can, and then they have rest of their life to proceed on that. Now to do that, then we have to give them some values. Rupa Goswami, in Nectar of Devotion, he defines that a highly learned person is a person who has the knowledge, but at the same time, he must have the character to use the knowledge properly. Again, in India, and sometimes there are the exams, right? No, the 10th standard, 12th standard, and it's all about just to pass the exam. Once you pass the exam, then you don't need to know anything. The tuitions are based on, or they are geared for, so then you prepare to pass the exam. It's not about to learn what actually, no, it is just to pass the exam, to get the diploma. But that's not the purpose of education. So when the parents ask, okay, what the children will have after the education, what diploma will they get? What will I do with that? How will I get it, and how they can be applied in society based on the diploma? Then they can proceed and they can do their job. So we tell them, for us, this is not that much of importance. We give importance how, what qualities do the children develop? What character do they have? And the knowledge they get, how they apply it. So this is then the most important of the education as as it is. So the children, they can study and with in proper environment, in the proper association, they develop all these qualities, they practice them, and they become highly learned persons. Then later on, we had even cases that the parents or grandparents or they kind of insisted, after Gurukul, you should go and study university. You should develop, you should have some diploma. Okay. Then there are online universities, they can do that, and they can have it without greater problem. Because in the Gurukul, they develop determination, they develop focus, and if they really want to do something, it's not such a big problem for them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Moshai. There are several questions we'd like to field, but we just have another 4 minutes left. So, Shantiparayan Prabhu.
Prabhu, one of the students was saying that the values are inculcated and they're demonstrated by when you're outside school. But I heard that the students, they don't like to go home. So is there other situations where they can demonstrate those values?
The students, the Gurukula runs, it's a very close relationship between the students, the teachers. They are like a family members. So yes, it is that when they are in the school, then they do have difficulties maybe to go out after the school. They are feeling uncomfortable. They are feeling sometimes even incapable, because everything is done for them. Everything is they are spoon-fed. But they have the qualities. They just didn't realize they have them. So we have a program when we take the students out, and we have them running everything according to what they have learned, to apply it practically. And in every case, we only have appreciation from the people about how the students do what they do, and it's wonderful. That gives them the great courage, seeing that they can do. Then after, they don't feel much uncomfortable to go out. They can go and they can conquer the world.
Thank you. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Okay. So many questions and such little time. Yeah. We will take one more question, but at the same time I want to mention that if you have more questions, Prabhus are here and the Gurukul is not too far. Yeah?
That's true.
So if you want to see it real life, you're also welcome to go there and address your questions. We'll take one last question. We just have exactly 2 minutes before the next speaker. In order to respect the next speaker, we must start the next session. We'll take one quick question. Yeah?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question is, like, we already have a setup of Gurukul in Mayapur. And so, like, what are the reasons we are not able to attract the crowd to the Gurukul? For example, ultimately, the students will come from the parents. So, what are your future plans, like what you are planning to convince the parents or to educate them or tell them about the philosophy of education so that, of Gurukul, so that they can, like, put their children in the Gurukul?
We don't have a problem attracting boys. We have a problem that we have many asking to come. We have no capacity. So we would like to that if we have other places where the students or the boys can go and attend Gurukulas there. So there is no scarcity of the children to come. There is a scarcity of the material, there is a scarcity of our place, the teachers. So what we should do, we should start training more the teachers, so then we can open more and more Gurukulas for the children all over the world.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Well,
Krishna.
on that very, very positive note and auspicious words, let that come true. Thank you so much, Moshai, for your time and for the Bhaktivedanta Academies. Thank you.